That is Wild Honey off it. Didn't It Rain? And Hugh Laurie is in studio with us. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. Good to be here.
First of all, congratulations on this. It's a project that's been taking you all over the world recently,
It
right?
has indeed. I've seen parts of the world I wasn't completely sure were real. Slovenia, for example. I mean, I'd heard about it, but I wasn't really sure that was a real country. But it certainly is, and a very pretty one it is too. We've just got back from Europe. We went to Moscow. We played the Kremlin Palace.
And you're playing New Orleans music in the Kremlin.
Much.
And are those people familiar with this music?
Well,
or?
Hard to tell.
Yeah.
They're pretty inscrutable, the Russians. Hard to tell. But they bluffed it well. Diplomatic, I think. But no, we got them in the end. They were, they took some dragging, but we finally got there. And the shows have been going great, actually, and have been getting better and better, which is the real thrill.
Now, as you travel through Europe, I know they know blues and they know jazz there. I remember Woody Allen did this a few years ago.
Right.
And people love the music. It's Americans that don't even know their own goddamn history that drives me crazy.
It is true. It appears to be true. That because you are so blessed with such abundant treasures right under your nose, that maybe I don't know what it is, but maybe things get taken for granted. I think probably everyone does that in some way or another. If it's right under your nose, you don't see it. But yes, I'm very aware of being a foreigner. It's not my music. I'm a trespasser. I know that, but I have always. This is the music I've loved all my life, and I approach it as respectfully as I can. Because if you're going to do someone else's folk music, you'd better, you better get it right. But it's a wonderful thing to hopefully to try and connect with an American audience who are rediscovering. I mean, we've actually got people in our own band, Gene McLean, whose voice you heard there on Wild Honey. Some of these songs that she'd never heard of. She was not completely clear on, Bessie Smith, Bessie who.
Right.
And it's fantastic to see her sort of embrace this and rediscover this music, which is part of your heritage, not mine, but yours. But I love it.
You know what? I believe it's a shared human heritage. I really do. I think it belongs to the planet Earth now.
I completely agree. I think there is when a gift becomes this great, and I do think that you could make a case for this being America's greatest gift to the world. Popular music all around. It's done more. I mean, it's inconceivable to live without it. And there comes a point, I think you're right, where this belongs to the world.
Well, I will say this. I will give full credit to the fact that I've never had an Englishman come on this show and not know more about American music than Americans. And I'm talking about some of the great Ray Davies and guys from the Stones. They always come in and go and they know people who played backup and they know session players. But Americans don't look back for some reason. They only look forward.
Right.
I don't know I think one of the problems with Americans is this. They don't respect craft as much as they respect invention. And they always want to believe that the new thing is here.
That's a very interesting point. That's very interesting. That may be, it's not for me to say true or false, but that sounds right to me.
Well, craftsmanship is something we've almost left behind no matter what it is.
Right.
To me, the people who make guitars already, they should be celebrated before we even get into anything else.
Right.
But there's something about Americans where they're what's next.
Right.
And it's been said that some of these guys have died broke when they're geniuses.
Absolutely. I mean, James Booker, one of my great heroes, was in a pauper's grave in New Orleans. 3 people attended his funeral, and 2 of them probably had to be there.
Yeah, right.
That's sort of, and yet he is one of the great geniuses of New Orleans blues piano particularly, and it's amazing to me that there were not 100,000 people in the streets, but there weren't.
And for you, playing this music and being able to do it with the right players is the real thrill, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I know very well. I'm very conscious of the fact that I'm the fake in the band. I'm the big faker. Everyone else is the real thing. But I suppose what I've tried to do is is to bring these elements together and produce something for, first of all, a record and then also a live show that does just touch people in some way. That it makes them laugh, it makes them dance, it makes them cry. You know, because all of that is in this music. This is high art. To me, this is high art, and it's no less high than some guy doing Don Giovanni down the road. This is absolutely astonishing music to me, and I want people to hear it and share it and dance to it.
It struck you as a kid too, right? This has been your life.
I was tiny when I first heard this. It was I could still remember. It was like an electric shock. It was I never really got over it. I'm still vibrating.
Do you remember who it was? Who were you first hearing?
I was so young. I think it was Willie Dixon, but I couldn't actually swear to it. That's always stuck in my mind, and I felt like that was the first name I heard. But I knew that before I was aware of names and who was involved, there was a sound. There was that space between a minor third and a major third, which I didn't even know what that meant back then. I'm still not completely clear. But there was that blues sound that was just... it was like an electric shock, and never got over it.
Now, on this album, you played with Taj Mahal.
Yes, indeed.
Which, to me, out of everyone who's ever come in here, he's almost a holy man.
He is.
Even when you look at him,
he is.
There's a presence to that man.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I mean, if he was not who he is, you would pick him to play that character. You know what I mean? He everything about him, the way he moves, the sound of his voice, that face, he definitely has that holy man feel. And he came in and we actually recorded the track fairly quickly, but then spent hours just basically sitting at his feet, hearing him, reveal truths, because that man is the real thing. And it was just such a thrill.
And I think an atheist would also agree that this is spiritual music. You know what I mean? Like, it touches someplace that maybe we don't normally know how to get to.
I mean, speaking as an atheist, this is my religion. This is spiritualism to me. This is where we commune with each other and with the universe and make sense of life. This is very, very profound stuff. And to hear Taj Mahal singing Vicksburg Blues, that is a sort of near mystical experience for me. I mean, and that's not just a figure of speech. I mean, It really is. It shakes me to my core just to be in the room with him.
Well, that's the funny thing about it, is that you will, if you go to enough shows and you see the right night, find that place that takes you above what is a normal human experience. And the right night of music, it's the same thing that tribes were doing, when they were beating on logs. And it doesn't always last long, Sometimes it comes and goes.
Fleeting. Yeah.
But you will be able to say something just happened.
Right. We're more than the sum of its parts. When there's like a sort of harmonic that takes over the players and the audience and the room, and time stops. Time stops for a moment, and it is I've sort of glimpsed it, and I'm just hungry for more. Frankly, greedy for more.
It's also interesting. Did you do this in New Orleans? Some of this music was done in New Orleans.
This record we didn't. But the previous record we did record some of it there. Yeah.
Well, why do you think? What is it about that river that happens Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, and it's all a little different?
Yeah.
By the time you get to New Orleans, I think there's, Caribbean mixed in somehow. But what happened along there to make so much great music?
It's I don't know. It's the river. It's a human traffic, isn't it? Of people rubbing up against each other and bringing different experiences from different places, different sounds, different instruments, different ideas. And there's something about the way those things blended together that is, well, obviously unique. I mean, there is no other city like New Orleans, and never will be. It has a unique history and a unique geography. Everything about it is extraordinary, and I don't know. It just can't be found. It can't be found anywhere else. But I suppose it's just people passing by each other on that great river and telling stories, and sooner or later someone gets out a guitar and off we go.
Yeah. It's insane. It's really one of the most interesting things. And, to say that it's not your music is probably also wrong, because there is Anglo influences in there, Well, it's not like Africans went and made this kind of music on their own. They had to come to America.
Right.
And then there was...
Oh, no, there are strong elements of there's sort of Anglican church music in it. There's folk music, Celtic folk music. There are all kinds of different spices in the brew. The English music has played a part, but that's the great American experiment. It's what you guys did with all the parts to make this incredible whole.
Yeah, when we're not shooting each other or whatever.
Well, I wish you'd do that less. But,
yeah, it's a give and take with us. Yeah. Now, when you were listening to this music when you were a kid, were your friends listening to this same music, or were they a little more? You were off on your own with this.
I had no friends.
You had no friends.
No. It was a friendless childhood. But no, they weren't actually. They'd gone down the sort of pop road, which was not something that particularly grabbed me. I don't know why. I mean, I had nothing against it. I don't have anything against it now. It's just not what I put on to listen to. Whereas, when I was 12, 13, Muddy Waters was just it, and I couldn't really understand why he wasn't it for everyone else around me. But they had to do their David Bowie thing. And,
but Bowie used to listen to that, so that helps out.
He did. Yeah, absolutely.
Bowie probably loves this music just every bit as much as you do.
Exactly. It is all one big river. Yeah.
But I also think that there's something this said that you didn't have a visual attached to it. There's something about that music that meant stuff to me, because I had no idea who some of these people were.
That's a very good point. And I was actually thinking on the way here about radio and about someone. I was just coming here with someone who said that it's actually been shown that people pay more attention and listen better, more accurately, when they can't see who's speaking. Right. So actually people are absorbing more from your words than they are absorbing from a TV guy's words. And I think that may be true of music too, not having a visual reference or not knowing much about the physical setting that this music was coming from. That may have actually, maybe that does make your ear sort of sharper in a way, that you listen more carefully.
Well, and I also think because once we have visual, I think we get lazy about everything else.
Right.
So I do think the fact, and there's something about even the fact that the way that music was recorded, that would have crackles and pops, that would force you even to lean in a little more and do some work, to pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's part of its character and part of its history, that it comes from a place. You can hear the room. You as sort of aware, consciously or not, that when you hear 10 guys playing together, it's 10 guys playing together. Right. They didn't arrive on 10 different days and lay something down on Pro Tools and then have it all mashed up. This is you're hearing 10 people communing, and actually exchanging things, it is a group experience, which is. I mean, that's getting more and more precious these days.
Well, and I also think this, and there are old studios along those rivers too. And even as an atheist, you have to know something seems like it's left behind in those studios.
Completely. Absolutely. I mean, we recorded this album in a place called Ocean Way Studios in Los Angeles, where, for example, Sinatra had made a record. They did the record for, no, it wasn't, I can't remember the name of the movie. Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin.
Ocean's 11?
Ocean's 11, I think it was it. Ocean's 11, or was it?
They did Robin and the Seven Hoods.
Robin and the Seven Hoods.
Yeah.
Robin and the Seven Hoods. And I was thinking, and they actually have, beneath the studio, they have an old-fashioned echo chamber, which is not just a figure of speech. It is a chamber where they bounce his voice off and they get that reverb sound. And I'm thinking, well, my voice is now bouncing into the same brick that Sinatra's voice, and this is sort of a holy place now, because this is his voice has infused the actual stone that we're of the building we're in. It sounds like I'm getting whimsical, but it really does feel like that. It's that powerful.
I think you're less of an atheist than you think you are.
Yeah, you think I've got a soft side to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you've been hanging around America long enough.
Right.
It is now you've done so much with acting and all, but is music the place to get that real buzz for you?
It is for me, honestly. I mean, I love acting. I'm fascinated by it. Every it's always a fascinating thing, a problem to solve. But we all know that at the end of a hard day, nobody goes home and relaxes with a spot of acting.
Right.
Let's do some Troilus and Cressida. Nobody does that. But what everybody does is to put on music, or they either play it or listen to it. And it's because it touches parts of the soul that other things don't get to. Other things could be, they're sort of intellectually fascinating to try and solve a problem and try to, but music is operating on a deeper level.
And I also think it's one thing to play on your own, or even one thing to be in the studio with great players, but then adding people changes that as well. Adding people as fans to come in and out. And I'm always curious about what is the mathematical makeup to make that really great night. If you took out certain amount of people and moved in other people,
right, would
it suddenly be the right? Yeah. It's like almost like throwing a great party. Who knows?
Yes. Well, what is the thing that kicks it all off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you need that girl in the yellow shirt to stand up in the middle of the third song and go crazy? Or I got a theory. We were halfway through Europe. I think we were in the Ukraine or somewhere, and for some reason we had to start a show. Oh, Poland. We were in Poland. We had to start a show late. I can't remember why. There was some technical reason they couldn't get the audience in time or something. We started the show 20 minutes late, and they went crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. So the next night I said, why don't we try starting 20 minutes late? Maybe that's what it is. Of course, the next night the people just going, they're tapping their watches, going, you're late. You're 20 minutes late. So okay, so that's not it.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's a magical thing trying to work out what the ingredient. I mean, the truth is, you never will work it out.
You never work it out.
Thank God.
But the chase is what it's all about, right?
That's absolutely right.
That is the actual thing.
Yeah.
To just make sure that you're conscious enough to stay after it at all times.
Right.
How do you? Is there nights where you're up there going, "Why am I?"
There haven't been. I mean, there've been a couple of nights, but only a couple when it felt like, I'm pedaling a bicycle here, and are we going uphill? I think we're going slightly uphill here. But then every uphill has a downhill part too, and we've had. Basically, the shows have got better and better, and by the end of them, I felt like, wow, I'd never claim that we know what we're doing, because you never get to that point, or you should never get to that point. But it feels like we're onto something here, and I'm really excited by this.
Well, if you go to HughLaurieBlues.com, you can check out the new album, Didn't It Rain? It comes out Tuesday, August 6th, in stores and on iTunes and Amazon. But there's also going to be word about your American tour out there.
We are going to be touring from, I think, the middle of October. And I don't know where we're going yet. I go where they point me. I actually don't know where I'm going when I leave this room. So I'm not, I'm not to be trusted. Don't take anything I say. But we are going to be all over the country at once. No, I don't know what direction we're headed in.
But is that part of the fun for you, to actually not know where you're going to be on the road, what you're going to be doing?
I don't know if it's the fun of it, or it's just that I'm such an idiot that I can't get these things in my head. And
well, I'll tell you this: you're going to Nashville.
Yes, Nashville.
So you better be up for that.
That one I did know.
Pittsburgh, Minneapolis, Chicago, into Ohio, Toronto, Montreal, Alexandria, New York City, playing Town Hall, which talk about a place where there's been some spectacular shows over the years. Always fun to do that. So for you to come now, full circle, bringing American music back to Americans. It should be a lot of fun.
It should be a lot of fun. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, because I offer it with all due humility because, I know its roots and I know where it's come from, but this is just music I love, and if anybody, it's a cliche, but if one person in the audience gets a tenth of the pleasure that I've got from it when we're laughing.
Well, here's what I love about it. A, you're playing with the right players. And right. B, the sound on this album is fantastic.
It is. It is absolutely amazing.
Which is, for me, always half the battle. If you can get into that and say, this sounds good, then you're open to listening to it. And, of course, to have these players, Woody plays up on the Carlisle every Monday night. And he plays old kind of New Orleans jazz. And you get there, everyone shows up to see Woody. A couple, 2-3 songs in, you're like, who's this guy on piano? Who's this guy on guitar? Because he only surrounds himself with great players.
Right.
And by the end of the night, you're just having a great jazz night.
Yeah.
And you got beyond the fact of, I love Woody's music, movies.
His movies,
you know? And I think that's the main thing about it.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for stopping in, dude.
Oh,
I really had a good time.
It's great. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
HughLaurieBlues.com. Your chance to go there, check out the new album, but also touring America. I'll see you next time coming through, man.
Excellent.